Introduction. The universe's confidence in its power. Across the vast reaches of the galaxy, where stars burned brightly and alien civilizations thrived, humanity was seen as nothing more than a speck in the grand cosmic order. The galaxy's most powerful species, beings who had mastered the art of intergalactic war and diplomacy, laughed at the very thought of humans being a threat. To them, Earth was a distant, insignificant planet. They had heard stories of humans' resilience, their curiosity, and their fierce determination, but none of these things seemed worthy of real concern. To the galaxy, humans were just another species to be easily ignored. The galaxy had seen many civilizations rise and fall, and it believed it had mastered the formula for control. War was a game for the strong, a contest of technology, power, and influence. Humanity, in their eyes, was still stuck in the early stages of development, weak, fragile, and naive. The idea that Earth could ever be a serious player on the galactic stage was laughable. But all of that was about to change. Deep within Earth's most secretive military installations, humanity had been working on something that would rewrite history. No one outside of Earth knew about it. Not the aliens, not the galactic empires, and certainly not the so-called higher beings who saw themselves as the masters of the universe. They were too busy laughing, too busy underestimating the species they had once written off as irrelevant. In the deepest corners of space, where light from the stars barely reached, Earth's most ambitious project had been taking shape for decades. It was a vessel unlike any other, a ship that could warp the fabric of space itself. This ship was not just an advanced warship, not just a feat of engineering. It was the pinnacle of human ingenuity, a ship powered by the mysterious forces of the seventh dimension. The seventh dimension. Few knew of its existence. Even fewer understood its true potential. It was a dimension that defied everything the galaxy's most advanced civilizations had ever studied. A realm where time, space, and reality itself could be bent to one's will, and humanity had discovered how to harness its power. This vessel, cloaked in secrecy and built in hidden underground bunkers on Earth, was humanity's ultimate weapon. Its existence had been kept from the galactic community, its power kept hidden, waiting for the right moment to be unleashed. For years, the alien races had been content with their own strength, their own advanced technology. They had conquered galaxies, fought wars, and built empires, believing their power was unmatched. Every time they looked at Earth, they saw a species struggling with primitive technology, making their way through wars and politics that seemed so simple compared to the galaxy's greater struggles. The humans were, at best, a curiosity, something to be ignored and laughed at. But that laughter, that smug confidence, was about to end. The seventh dimension ship, known only to a select few humans as the Wraith, had been finished. Earth's leaders were ready to reveal it to the galaxy. They had kept it hidden for so long, knowing that the time for its use had not yet come. But the time was now. Humanity had decided that it was no longer content to be dismissed. It had decided that it would no longer sit quietly on the sidelines of the galaxy, watching as others played their power games. It was time for Earth to show the universe that it could not be ignored. The Wraith would be humanity's answer to the galaxy's arrogance, and it was waiting for the moment to make its presence known. The alien races, in their ignorance, continued to laugh. They didn't know that the next time they looked at Earth, they would see a different kind of power, a power that they could not comprehend. They thought that humanity's technological advancement had stopped at the stars. What they didn't know was that humanity had learned to master dimensions beyond their understanding. The first sign of change came when a strange energy wave rippled through space. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. But to those who paid attention, it was unmistakable. The Wraith was sending out signals, signals that had never been seen before, signals that bent the very fabric of space. A warning, but no one understood it yet. The leaders of the galaxy continued to sit in their ivory towers, secure in their belief that nothing could threaten them. They were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. When you laugh at a species when you believe you have mastered everything, you might just be overlooking the one species that could surprise you in ways you cannot imagine. The universe had grown confident in its power. The aliens, in their wisdom, thought they had seen it all. They believed that Earth was simply too small, too primitive, and too weak to ever be a real threat. But this time, Earth wasn't going to make the same mistakes. Humanity wasn't just going to watch. It was going to take action. And when the moment came, when humanity's seventh dimension ship made its move, the galaxy would remember this day forever. The laughter of the galactic empires would end. The galaxy would be forced to pay attention. But until that moment came, no one could have possibly imagined the storm that was about to hit. The first encounter, underestimating humans. The day had come, but it arrived quietly. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, where the most powerful beings of the universe gathered, there was no sense of urgency, no fear. There was only laughter and idle chatter. The council members, alien species with advanced technologies beyond human comprehension, mocked the idea that Earth could possibly have anything to offer. Humans, the Scyther general sneered, they still use weapons that are centuries behind us. The idea of them sending anything worthy to this summit is laughable. The council erupted in laughter. It was a common sentiment across the galaxy. Humanity was still using outdated weapons, struggling with basic space travel compared to the might of galactic powers. Earth had sent a small delegation, perhaps hoping to prove their worth, but no one paid them any real attention. The major empires, however, were mostly preoccupied with their own power plays, with whispers of intergalactic conquests and trade negotiations. The representatives from Earth, a small but determined group, made their way into the council chamber. They were ordinary humans in appearance, nothing special about them on the surface. The aliens exchanged knowing glances, more amused than anything, at the idea of these primitive creatures sitting among them. Among the humans was Admiral Sarah Jensen, a woman of fierce intellect and quiet resolve. Beside her stood Dr. Robert Blake, a physicist who had been part of the team that designed the Wraith. Neither of them were extraordinary by alien standards, but they held a secret that not a single soul in the galaxy could have predicted. As the humans took their seats, the laughter died down, but the underlying mockery remained. The session began in the usual fashion, with various species discussing trade routes, military agreements, and resource sharing. But Earth's representatives remained silent, not engaging much in the early discussions. It was almost as though they were waiting for something that would change everything. The first true sign of something out of the ordinary came when a strange hum filled the chamber. It wasn't loud at first, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. But soon, a low vibration echoed through the council hall, and the chatter ceased. "What is that?" one of the council members asked, their voice filled with confusion. No one had expected a disturbance. The ship carrying Earth's delegation had been parked in the outskirts of the galaxy for the time being, far from any major intergalactic trade routes or military zones. Why would there be a disturbance now? Admiral Jensen stood up, signaling the others to remain seated. Her calm, collected demeanor was in sharp contrast to the growing unease that gripped the room. The vibration increased in intensity, a strange energy field emanating from somewhere deep within the galaxy, moving closer. The hum intensified to a rhythmic thrum, as if the very fabric of space was being disturbed. The Galactic Council members looked at each other, their eyes wide with growing concern. No one knew what this strange energy was, but it was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It wasn't just an energy source, it was a force, and it was coming from Earth's delegation. The Scyther general's face turned serious. He had been one of the most vocal critics of humanity, calling them weak and insignificant. But now, as the strange energy grew stronger, he felt a chill run down his spine. "What is this?" he demanded. "Explain this at once, human." Admiral Jensen remained calm. Her voice was steady as she spoke, but her words carried an unmistakable weight. "It's a warning," she said. "From Earth. We are not what you think we are." The room fell silent. The vibration now pulsed with an intensity that rattled the chamber, bending the walls ever so slightly. The very air felt thick, charged with something alien to the galaxy's advanced civilizations. A soft glow began to emanate from the ships outside. It wasn't the ordinary light that reflected off starships. It was something different, something that could only come from a dimension beyond the physical realm. The ships, once thought to be a mere novelty of human engineering, were now the focus of every eye in the Council. Dr. Blake, who had remained quiet until now, stood up slowly. His calmness was almost unnerving in contrast to the rising tension. He raised his hand, signaling to the holographic screens that displayed Earth's ship from every angle. "The seventh dimension ship," Blake said quietly, his voice carrying a weight no one could ignore, "is humanity's greatest achievement, and it is not here for peace talks." At that moment, the glow outside grew brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the vibrations, and then, with an intensity that shook every species in the room to its core, the ship, the Wraith, revealed its true power. The ship's dimensional gates began to open, but not in the way any being had ever seen. Instead of a typical warp drive or subspace tunnel, the space around the ship bent and twisted, like reality itself was being rewritten. The vibrations increased exponentially, sending ripples through the entire galaxy. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the very laws of physics seemed to break down around Earth's ship. The chamber's lights flickered. Reality itself seemed to stretch and twist. And then, without warning, a massive burst of energy erupted from the ship, powerful enough to shake the very fabric of space. The laughter stopped. The sneers faded. The smug confidence the galaxy had relied upon for eons vanished in an instant. This wasn't just another advanced human weapon. It was something far greater, something the galaxy had never seen, never even imagined. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, now stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had just happened. The laughter was gone. Humanity had just revealed its hidden hand, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The chaos unleashed, a galactic shockwave. The echoes of the power from the Wraith were still vibrating through the galactic plane when the full force of its reality warping power became undeniable. For a brief moment, everything went still. Silence descended on the council hall, as if the universe itself held its breath. Every being, no matter their species or status, was paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of the event unfolding before them. The Xither general, whose confidence had been so unwavering only minutes ago, now stood frozen, eyes wide in shock. His body trembled not just from the energy of the blast, but from the realization that what had just been revealed was not merely a weapon. It was an existential shift. There was no fighting it, no comprehending it. The galaxy had thought of Earth as insignificant, weak, and easy to control. But now, that illusion had shattered. One of the council members, an ancient being from the Tolaris cluster, spoke first. His voice was barely a whisper, but it carried through the chamber with the weight of centuries of wisdom. This is not just power," he said, his ancient eyes wide with dread. "This is control over reality itself." The vibrations from the ship had started to warp space beyond the council hall, affecting not just their surroundings, but their very perception of time. Some of the alien representatives gasped as their memories began to distort, as if the boundaries between past and future were blurring. The Wraith, though still hidden in the distant reaches of space, had released its first wave of energy, a wave that bent the very fabric of the universe. It wasn't just a weapon that could destroy ships or kill billions. This energy didn't work like anything the galaxy had ever seen. It didn't just manipulate matter, it controlled dimensions. It controlled time itself. The council members began to murmur nervously. Their advanced minds could only begin to grasp the consequences of what they were witnessing. In an instant, the universe's most powerful species realized that their superiority had been nothing but a fleeting illusion. Earth's technological leap into the seventh dimension had given them more than just weapons. It had granted them the ability to manipulate the very forces that held the universe together. Back on Earth, humanity had already begun to prepare for the next phase. As the Galactic Council members sat in stunned silence, Earth's leaders activated the next sequence within the Wraith. The first wave was merely a demonstration. What came next was far more intricate, far more dangerous. The seventh dimension ship had been designed not just to defend Earth, but to reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. Humans weren't simply a species trying to survive. They were now positioned to become the architects of the galaxy's future. Admiral Jensen, standing among her team of Earth's finest minds, could feel the weight of the moment. But there was no time to enjoy victory. Humanity had opened a door, one that the galaxy would never be able to close again. She knew this was only the beginning. The true power of the Wraith was yet to be fully unleashed. Across the galaxy, systems that were once completely independent of Earth now began to feel the ripples of humanity's rise. Trade routes disrupted, alien governments in turmoil, and some of the most powerful fleets in the universe were now on high alert. It wasn't just the physical energy from the Wraith that had caused the disturbance. It was the awareness, the realization, that humanity was no longer just a small player. They had become an unknown factor, one that the galaxy's great minds could no longer dismiss. Earth had opened a door to powers that existed beyond the stars, beyond what even the most advanced races had discovered. The ripple effect started slow, but it was undeniable. On one of the nearest warships from the Cyrexian Empire, a communications officer jumped from his chair as his screen began to flicker with strange symbols. "What is this?" he gasped, watching as the symbols danced across the screen in patterns that had never been seen before. The Cyrexian Empire was one of the largest military forces in the galaxy, known for its sheer firepower and dominance. But what was happening now was not something they could fight with weapons. This was beyond weapons. It was the fabric of reality itself shifting. In the galactic capital of Virus, the political elite of multiple races sat in lavish chambers discussing their latest victories, trade deals, and military conquests. They were oblivious to the changes happening outside their borders. The laughter of the universe's elite continued, with only a few dark whispers of something unsettling coming from far-off regions. No one had any idea what humanity had truly unleashed. Dr. Blake, standing beside Admiral Jensen, watched the chaos unfold through Earth's advanced satellite network. "It's working," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. He knew that what had just begun would change the course of the galaxy forever. The power is spreading. They don't even know it yet, but their reality is slipping from their grasp. As the first ripple of chaos grew, the Cyrexian fleet issued a threat, a challenge to humanity. They called it a declaration of war, unaware that they had just made their worst mistake. "We demand Earth's immediate surrender," came the message, transmitted across all frequencies, "or we will wipe you from existence." But what the Cyrexian Empire didn't understand was that they were dealing with a force far beyond their reach. The seventh dimension ship was not just a tool for destruction. It was a force of creation, capable of bending time, space, and even the fundamental laws of nature. The Cyrexian declaration of war would prove to be their last mistake. As Earth's leaders watched the galaxy begin to tremble, a quiet yet powerful truth settled in the hearts of every human. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity would never again bow to the forces that once looked down on them. The ripple from the Wraith was only the beginning. The true storm was coming. The first clash. Power unleashed beyond the stars. The ripple from humanity's awakening reached far beyond the borders of the galaxy, distorting not just the fabric of space, but the very perception of what was possible. And as the Cyrexian fleet moved forward with its threats, it became evident that their understanding of power was no longer enough to protect them. Earth's emergence had changed the rules. Admiral Jensen stood before the control console of the Wraith, watching the vast expanse of stars flicker on the screen before her. Her mind raced with the possibilities of what the coming storm would bring. Every decision, every move made by Earth from here on out, would shape the future of the galaxy. There was no turning back now. The Cyrexian threat, Jensen spoke, her voice steady despite the chaos inside, is just the beginning. They will not be the last to challenge us. On the outside, the massive ship continued its low-frequency hum, the vast energy it contained already resonating through the galaxy. It wasn't just about destroying enemies anymore. Earth had opened a gate, one to unimaginable power. A power that could warp the fundamental laws of the universe, reshaping reality itself. The human ingenuity that had built the Wraith was something no one, not even the most advanced races, could fathom. Meanwhile, in the vast expanse of Cyrexian-controlled space, the fleet had already begun its warpath, their enormous warships carrying massive weapons capable of obliterating planets. They broadcast their demands across all frequencies, but they did not expect the response they would soon receive. A sleek ship from Earth, one of the early prototypes of humanity's seventh dimension technology, appeared in the distance. Its sleek, shimmering form seemed to flicker in and out of existence, as though it could not decide where it belonged in the fabric of time and space. The crew inside had one mission: to demonstrate the full extent of humanity's new capabilities to the Cyrexian Empire. Inside the ship, Captain Rachel Owens looked out across the control room. Her heart pounded, but her mind was clear. This was the moment. The enemy had underestimated them for too long, and now it was time to show the galaxy that humanity had far more at its disposal than just a defense mechanism. "Activate the seventh dimension protocol," she commanded, her voice unshakable. The ship's core flared, its core of pure energy pulsing, and then expanding outward in a wave of power that spread through space like a cosmic shockwave. The ship began to move, its form distorting in a way that made it look both enormous and infinitesimally small, bending the dimensions around it. As the ship accelerated toward the Cyrexian fleet, it was as though time itself hesitated, its speed defying every rule of physics the galaxy had understood. From the Cyrexian flagship, their sensors went haywire as the Earth ship seemed to flicker in and out of existence. Nothing in their database could comprehend such an anomaly. The Cyrexian fleet commander, General Korak, ordered a barrage of laser fire at the Earth ship, but before it could even make contact, the ship vanished. "Report," Korak demanded, his voice laced with growing frustration. The tactical officer's face turned pale. "General, the Earth ship, it had vanished. Our weapons couldn't even touch it." The Cyrexians were not used to losing. They were the conquerors, the invaders. Yet now, they were dealing with something entirely different, something that defied their knowledge, their weapons, and their dominance. As the Earth ship reappeared behind the Cyrexian flagship, its sleek form now pulsing with dark energy, Captain Owens pressed another button, activating the ship's true weapon. From the core of the vessel, a beam of energy shot out, raw, untamed, and filled with the fury of a species that had finally unlocked its potential. The beam ripped through the Cyrexian flagship in a matter of seconds. The ship, which had once been the symbol of the Cyrexian Empire's unchallenged might, was now nothing more than debris in the vacuum of space. The fleet's advanced technology had been no match for the raw, unfiltered might of humanity's seventh dimension ship. But Owens knew this was only a taste of what was to come. The Cyrexians had dared to challenge Earth, and now they had paid the price. The ripple effects of their defeat would spread across the galaxy. The galaxy now knew one undeniable truth: humanity was not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, in a dark corner of the universe, an ancient being watched the events unfold. The Tolaris Elder had been observing Earth's rise for some time, knowing that it would only be a matter of time before the power of the seventh dimension reached full capacity. He was aware of the cosmic consequences it would bring. The Elder's pale eyes flickered with an emotion he rarely felt: fear. He had seen galaxies rise and fall, civilizations crumble under the weight of their own ambition. But what he saw unfolding on Earth was different. Humanity had transcended their former limitations. The gates to a new era were open, and they were holding the keys. He turned to the silent council of his people, his voice carrying the gravity of centuries of wisdom. The Cyrexians will not be the only ones to react to this new power. The universe does not take kindly to the birth of such force. We must decide our course of action quickly, before the balance tips too far. But it was too late. The ripple from Earth's first clash had already spread, and the galaxy had begun to change forever. In this part, we witnessed the first true clash between humanity and one of the galaxy's most powerful empires, the Cyrexians, by introducing a high-stakes space battle and showcasing humanity's newly revealed powers. We continue to ramp up the tension and excitement. The universe is beginning to understand the full scope of what Earth has unleashed, and the galaxy will never be the same again. The story sets up for even greater confrontations to come. The Cyrexian response. A galaxy on edge. The news of the Cyrexian fleet's annihilation at the hands of humanity's seventh dimension ship spread like wildfire across the galaxy. It was as if a shockwave had rippled through the cosmos, shaking the foundations of the galactic order. Those who had once looked at Earth with disdain and amusement were now beginning to reconsider their assumptions. In the heart of Cyrexian space, General Korak was pacing angrily in his command chamber. The defeat was more than just a blow to his fleet. It was a humiliation. It was a challenge to the very core of the Cyrexian Empire's power. How could a species of primitive, untested beings cause such a disruption in the cosmic balance? The Cyrexians had long been the masters of warfare, the undisputed conquerors of countless worlds. They had the largest, most advanced fleets in the galaxy, weapons that could tear planets apart, and armies that were unmatched in their brutality. Yet, in the face of humanity's new might, none of it had mattered. How did this happen? Korak demanded, his voice low and threatening as he turned to his commanders. One of his top officers, Commander Vale, stepped forward, his expression grave. "Sir, we've never encountered anything like this. Their technology. It's unlike anything in our archives. It bends the very fabric of space and time. Our weapons were ineffective." The Earth ship vanished and reappeared at will, launching a devastating attack. Korak's fist slammed onto the table, causing the room to shudder. "We are not some fringe empire, Vale. This is an affront to the entire galaxy. No one mocks the Cyrexians and survives. We will retaliate. We must crush them before their power spreads any further." Vale hesitated for a moment, then spoke with caution. "General, we cannot simply send another fleet. If their power is as significant as it seems, we risk losing everything." The room fell silent. For the first time, the Cyrexian leadership was confronted with uncertainty. "We will not be intimidated by a few primitive humans," Korak spat. "Prepare the fleet, but this time, we will need allies." Back on Earth, the mood was drastically different. While humanity had won a major victory, there was an underlying sense of tension. The Cyrexians were not the only threat in the galaxy, and now, the ripple effect from Earth's newfound power was drawing the attention of countless other factions, some peaceful, others far more dangerous. Admiral Jensen stood in the war room, a map of the galaxy spread before her. "We've unleashed something far greater than we anticipated," she said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "The Cyrexians were just the beginning. The galaxy will respond, and we need to be prepared." The map before her blinked, showing multiple new ships emerging from various parts of the galaxy. These ships were not Cyrexian, and their designs were unfamiliar. These were the first signs of the galaxy's response to humanity's power, and it was coming fast. "We're not alone anymore," Jensen continued, her gaze focused on the screen. "There are factions out there who've been watching us, waiting for the right moment to act. But they won't all be hostile. Some may want to form alliances. Others will want us gone." Captain Owen stood by her side, Her arms crossed as she looked at the same map. She could sense the gravity of the situation, but there was no fear in her eyes, only determination. "We've fought battles before," she said, her tone resolute, "and we've won them. But this is different. The stakes have never been higher." Jensen nodded. "The power we hold now, it's a gift and a curse. We can reshape the future of the galaxy, but it won't come without sacrifice." Just then, an alert flashed on the screen, followed by a communication request from an unknown ship. The crew fell silent as Jensen and Owens exchanged a glance. This could be the first of many encounters, an opportunity to shape humanity's future or a harbinger of greater threats to come. "Put it through," Jensen ordered. The screen flickered, and a figure appeared, an alien, but not one that had ever been encountered before. The being had an ethereal quality, its form shimmering with a translucent glow that gave it an almost celestial appearance. It was not human, but there was something unmistakably familiar about its presence. "I am called Alien." The figure spoke, its voice echoing with an ancient resonance. "I come from a distant star system, one that has been watching your species for millennia. I've seen your rise. And now, I must know if you are worthy of the power you have unlocked." The room was silent as the crew tried to process the alien's words. Watching them, Alien continued, "You have unlocked the seventh dimension, a power long forgotten by many of the galaxy's civilizations. This power, if misused, could tear the fabric of the universe itself. I've come to warn you, humanity, that others may seek to control this power for their own purposes, and not all of them will be kind." Jensen took a deep breath. She had been expecting a confrontation, but this was different. Alien wasn't just an enemy, it was a warning, a sign that the balance of the galaxy had been irrevocably altered. "We will not misuse our power," Jensen said firmly, "but we will not be intimidated either. Earth will defend itself, and if we must, we will form alliances, but we will never allow our future to be dictated by anyone but us." Alien's form flickered, a faint smile passing through the alien's features. "We shall see," it replied before the transmission abruptly ended. The room was tense as the crew processed the interaction. An unknown entity had just thrown humanity's future into even greater uncertainty, and for the first time, the galaxy knew. Humanity wasn't just a fledgling species anymore. It was a force to be reckoned with. In this part, we witness the growing tension as humanity's emergence as a galactic power begins to attract attention from various factions. We introduce Alien, an ancient being from another part of the galaxy, who presents a new challenge to humanity's newfound strength. It's a turning point. Humanity's role in the galaxy is no longer uncertain, but the path forward is fraught with danger, and the question of whether humanity can control the power it wields now takes center stage. The Galactic Council's decision, a new era of diplomacy and threats. The Cyrexian fleet's devastating defeat at the hands of humanity's seventh dimension vessel had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Rumors spread faster than light, reaching every corner of the cosmos. Earth was no longer a mere planet of insignificant humans. It had become a galactic power, capable of shifting the balance of the universe. The galaxy was now on the precipice of something far greater, something no one had expected. For millennia, the Galactic Council had been the governing body of the galaxy. Comprised of representatives from dozens of different star systems, the Council was the final authority on most matters of galactic diplomacy. It had overseen peaceful coexistence, trade agreements, and military pacts, all while maintaining a fragile peace among various species. But with humanity's sudden emergence as a new and unpredictable force, the Council found itself facing an unprecedented dilemma. In the Grand Council Hall, representatives from the most powerful and influential species gathered for an emergency session. A holographic map of the galaxy shimmered above the table, and the faces of those present reflected the anxiety and uncertainty that permeated the room. A tall, reptilian being named Vornak from the Iskar Dominion, known for their militaristic nature and vast fleets, was the first to speak. What we are witnessing is beyond comprehension. A species that once barely understood space travel has suddenly developed the ability to manipulate the very fabric of the universe. The Cyrexians were a formidable force, and yet they were crushed in a matter of moments by these humans. If we do not take action now, we risk losing control of this galaxy. A soft murmur of agreement echoed around the chamber. The Escher Dominion had been one of the most powerful and feared empires in the galaxy, and the thought of being surpassed by a relatively young species like humanity was deeply unsettling. From the opposite side of the room, a more serene voice broke the tension. Lyora, the representative from the peaceful, telepathic Dranxi species, spoke next. Her voice was calm, but her words carried weight. Let us not rush to conclusions. Humanity has shown that they are capable of great power, but we must also consider their potential for diplomacy. They have already proved their resolve against the Cyrexians. Perhaps this is a moment to open dialogue, to understand what they truly seek in the galaxy. But how do we know they seek peace? Vornak retorted, his voice growing more agitated. We don't know their motives. They've just demonstrated the power to obliterate entire fleets in seconds. What's to stop them from doing the same to us? They've shown no hesitation in using their might. A tense silence filled the room. The Dranxi's representative remained still, her glowing eyes focused on the holographic map. What we do know, she began softly, is that humanity has already faced adversity. Many of their kind have fought wars of survival on their own world. They have learned the value of cooperation, of standing together in the face of impossible odds. I believe they are not driven by the hunger for conquest, but by a need to protect. The debate continued for hours. Some factions pushed for a show of force to intimidate Earth into submission, while others proposed forming an alliance to learn from humanity's technological advancements. Some, like the ancient Thalkar, suggested a different path entirely. An invitation to Earth to join the Council, a seat at the table of the galaxy's most powerful species. But there was one thing they all agreed on. Humanity was no longer a footnote in the galaxy's history. It had carved out its place, and how they would shape the future was now a matter of utmost importance. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Jensen was preparing for a new challenge. A special diplomatic envoy was being assembled. Humanity had always relied on strength, but now it would need to navigate the murky waters of galactic politics. What would Earth offer to the Council? Would they seek alliances, or would they stand alone, carving out their destiny with sheer willpower? In the war room, Jensen stood before the Council of Earth's most trusted leaders. The Galactic Council is divided, she said, her voice resolute. Some want to destroy us, others want to control us. But there are a few who want to join us. We must be prepared to face all outcomes. She turned to her chief diplomat, Ambassador Carter, who had been briefed on the Council's deliberations. The key to our survival is in understanding what we stand for. Do we wish to become another pawn in the galaxy's games, or do we use this opportunity to secure Earth's place as a sovereign power? Carter nodded thoughtfully. We cannot let fear dictate our actions, but we must also be strategic. There is no telling who will try to take advantage of our newfound strength. The Council may seek to control us, but we must remind them that we are not here to be ruled. Earth has always stood alone, and we intend to remain free. Jensen smiled at her colleague's words. We will negotiate, but we will not bow. Let them come with their offers, but let them understand this. Humanity's power is ours to wield, not theirs to steal. The days that followed were a whirlwind of diplomacy and preparation. Humans were on the cusp of something incredible, and the eyes of the galaxy were now fixed on them. But the path ahead was fraught with challenges, as old alliances crumbled and new enemies emerged from the shadows. It was in this moment that Earth's true resolve would be tested, not on the battlefield, but in the halls of diplomacy, where power was not always measured by weapons, but by the strength of will. Would humanity remain true to its roots, standing firm as a beacon of freedom, or would it be swayed by the promises of power and influence, losing its essence in the process? As Earth prepared to send its emissaries to the Galactic Council, one thing was certain: humanity was not going to be an obedient member of any galactic order. They would either leave the galaxy into a new era or become a force that could reshape the cosmos. This part introduces a pivotal moment for humanity as the Galactic Council deliberates on Earth's place in the galaxy. Various species, each with their own motives and agendas, debate the potential for cooperation or conflict with humanity. Meanwhile, Earth prepares for the challenges ahead, realizing that their power lies not just in military might, but in the strength of their resolve and their ability to navigate the complexities of intergalactic diplomacy. The ultimate test: humanity's choice. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was silent as the representatives waited for the arrival of Earth's envoy. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The outcome of this meeting would shape the future of the galaxy, and every eye in the room was focused on the Earth delegation. Tensions were high. Each species, each faction, had their own vision of how humanity should be dealt with. The question that remained was simple: would Earth embrace its newfound power, or would it risk losing its sovereignty for the sake of galactic peace? Admiral Jensen stood at the forefront of Earth's delegation, her face steely with resolve. Behind her, Ambassador Carter and a team of military strategists and diplomats stood ready, prepared for anything. Their mission was clear: protect Earth's independence and ensure that humanity was not swallowed up by the galactic powers seeking to control them. "This is it," Jensen whispered to Carter as they entered the council chamber. The vast room was surrounded by beings from all corners of the galaxy, each one waiting for the humans to speak. The Galactic Council had already heard of humanity's seventh dimension vessel and its unparalleled destructive power. But what they hadn't yet seen, what they didn't yet understand, was humanity itself. The true strength of Earth wasn't just in its technology or its military prowess. It was in its people, their spirit, their unity, and their relentless drive to survive. This was the core of humanity's power, and it was this, above all, that Jensen knew she had to convey. As they took their seats, the council's speaker, a towering being from the peaceful yet enigmatic Palk species, called the meeting to order. His voice, deep and resonant, filled the room. "Representatives of the Galactic Council, we convene today to discuss the future of humanity. Their power has been demonstrated, and now we must decide whether they will be a friend or a threat to our way of life." The speaker turned to Jensen. "Admiral Jensen, you may present your case." Jensen rose slowly, her eyes sweeping the room. She felt the weight of every gaze upon her, but her voice was steady as she began. "Honorable Council, we stand before you not as conquerors, but as survivors. Our species has faced countless trials, wars, extinction, and unthinkable adversity. Yet here we are. We are not here to conquer. We are here to offer an alliance. But make no mistake, if our sovereignty is threatened, we will defend our planet and our people with everything we have." The room remained still, absorbing her words. Some representatives seemed to nod in agreement, while others exchanged skeptical glances. The Skar Dominion, who had once advocated for an immediate show of force against humanity, was noticeably quiet, but their commander's eyes burned with doubt. A member of the Thalkar delegation, an ancient and wise species known for their vast knowledge of the cosmos, raised a hand. "Admiral Jensen, we have heard your words, but you have shown us nothing beyond your seventh dimension vessel. What assurances do we have that humanity will not become a rogue power, destabilizing the galaxy?" Jensen met the Thalkar's gaze with unwavering confidence. "Our strength is not defined by our technology alone. It is defined by our will, our ability to adapt, and our belief in our freedom. We offer no false promises, only the truth. We will never bow to any authority, and we will never be ruled." Her words hung in the air, a challenge and a promise. The room erupted into murmurs, the debate now shifting from fear to curiosity. Humanity was no longer just a force to be reckoned with. It was a species with conviction. The galaxy had never seen anything quite like it. Vornak, the secure commander, stood abruptly, his massive form towering over the others. You speak of freedom, of survival, but you fail to understand the consequences. If your species is left unchecked, you will become a scourge, a force that threatens everything we have built. Do not think for one moment that we will allow Earth to destabilize the galaxy. Jensen didn't flinch. I'm not asking for permission to exist. I'm asking for a chance to prove that humanity is not a threat. You have all seen what we can do, but we are not here to destroy. We are here to ensure our survival and seek peaceful coexistence. The tension in the room was palpable, but something had shifted. The Council, once united in their view of Earth as a potential enemy, now saw something else, something unexpected. Humanity had not only demonstrated incredible power, but they had shown restraint, a sense of responsibility that many other species lacked. The Palk representative, the most neutral of the Council, finally spoke. Perhaps it is time for us to reconsider. Humanity's strength is undeniable, but it is their resolve and their desire for peace that may prove to be the most significant of all. A ripple of agreement passed through the room. The once fractured Council seemed to be slowly aligning, the possibility of a new path opening before them. However, not everyone was convinced. The Exarac Alliance, a faction that had been at the center of the galaxy's military power, remained silent. Their leader, a mysterious figure known only as the Warlord, had yet to speak. Jensen knew this wasn't over yet. There was still much to be done, still many decisions to be made. The galaxy was a vast and complex place, and humanity's place within it would be defined not by force alone, but by their ability to navigate the delicate balance of power, diplomacy, and trust. As the Council session drew to a close, the speaker raised his hand, signaling the end of the debate. We will convene again soon. Admiral Jensen, your message has been heard, and the decision will be made shortly. Until then, know this. The fate of the galaxy rests on the choices we make. Jensen stood tall as she exited the chamber, her heart heavy with the weight of what was to come. This was only the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity would be at the center of it all. Whatever the outcome, one thing was certain. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been irrevocably changed. The ultimate test had just begun, and humanity's future was theirs to shape.